you ready? Are you ready?
Well, welcome back to the MetaSports League Studios and the DigiFan Podcast. This is episode number 022. Whew. It's gotten real heavy in here, but we're going to lighten the moment with the little sports. Wow.
We're back. It is a sunny and warm Saturday here in Minnesota.
Can I quote something called Peanut? He goes, the greatest part is like all three of you guys are like just sagging knuckles on the ground. He goes, God, this is getting really dark in here. All I was doing was telling my life story.
That's why it's going to be a great movie. It's honestly, a drama.
My friends are suggesting we need to, but it's a very, I think it's a feel-good, successful thing, but there's some shit that went on down the way, but we'll leave it at that. I'm a very happy human being, as you can tell, and you would have known it, and it was all because he asked me a simple question why I was listening to Big Audio Dynamite. Remember them?
Yes, I do. Oh, yes, and I remember asking the question, too, and ending up in places that I never imagined.
Never wanted to.
So good, so good. I got a complaint to lodge with Starbs upstairs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I asked for the new lid, and they gave me a newer lid that's like a hybrid of the. So we now have the reservoir.
Yep.
But now we've got that bullshit material. Remember those fake straws they were giving you in St. Louis Park that are like.
It's like
the
paper.
The decomposable.
This is decomposing in my mouth as I drink the acid known as their product, and it tastes like paper.
Tastes like napkins, right?
It's just stop with it.
I had one of those this morning and thought, when did they start putting pulp in coffee?
It's like
I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again. Oh, and then we saw someone in there with a mask.
Oh gosh!
Oh, masks are back.
Yeah, they are making a return.
Okay, it was one of those ones that was like this, and it was like
it had a very interesting design on it.
Okay, we'll get but it was like kind of it was the material like
more gas mask type.
Yeah,
no, it was like clothy,
clothy,
and it just looked like it was just saturated in spit and in snot and just like gross bile.
Does it take
whatever? And then it had this like fucked up facial expression on it.
Oh.
And I'm watching this.
Does it take one
I'm
to know one?
watching this person, I don't know what we identify, but whatever, walk by, and I'm sitting here going, I looked over at Peanut, and I just said one question. What the fuck? I said, I get it if you think that thing's actually going to help you. That's fine, but that's your problem. But, like, don't get whatever that design was. I couldn't deal with.
Waggs, it is Edina. Could it have been a rhinoplasty cover up?
No.
Oh my goodness!
Cosmetic
Plastic cover.
Wow, what are you saying?
I'm just saying it could be a very beautiful woman that wants to get more beautiful with a slight rhinoplasty procedure.
Our weather here in the Twin Cities couldn't be better.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Isn't it crazy how like on one day you snap your fingers and the grass is green?
Yes.
And
grass is green,
it's growing and
great blue skies out there today, a couple clouds, but got a nice little walk in this morning.
It feels to me like this is the first time in a decade where we've actually had a spring.
Yes.
Where there's like an actual spring season where things are still a little dormant and it gets a little cold and it's raining and, blah, blah, blah. And now it's starting to kind of like bloom.
Usually we go from 50 degrees to 90.
Yep. It's really weird, but it feels like we're actually getting a transitional season.
Or better yet, like 30 to 90. We'll go from snow to just straight heat.
Well, it's so nice. I don't know what to do with it. So I
agree with you. So I remember saying several times or thinking several times, I really like spring before it just came by too quick.
Yeah, but now you're actually getting a couple months of it.
Nobody likes spring usually, but this has been a nice spring.
If it's like this, you do.
Yeah.
Right?
I would agree.
So it's been absolutely wonderful. Like I was thinking today would be a perfect day to take in a Twins game.
Yeah, or go to a Saints game.
Or a Saints game. That's right.
I'd be in favor of a Saints game.
Are they in town?
Well, the Twins are out of town.
I don't know right now.
They're in Boston. Did you see Tristan blow out his knee yesterday?
No.
We were talking a little bit about that.
Hits a number to Joe Ryan, and you know how they teach you to run on the inside part of the baseline on a throw up the line like that to eat one off the rib cage or whatever, take the throwing lane away. And Ty France, I used to play the sack down there, did a nice job. His footwork was perfect. He was on the inside of the bag here, no foot on the bag. Had the target outside. and he hit his left foot and blew. It looks like he blew out his knee. At least went out on a stretcher. And I was watching the Boston feed, and Roger Clemens was in on that. And God, was it great to hear him? He's just so chill on the color.
Yeah,
he was so good. So that was fun. We got a lot to talk about here on the DigiFan
It's
podcast.
been a massive week.
It has. You know what? We're going to start
today.
We're going to start with the winners in this town, the Minnesota Timberwolves. We're going to talk about that. We're going to get a little bit in the Halliburton dust up and take that a step further. We'll go there. We had that with the Bucks and Jonas. That was crazy. And then we will talk about the Wild. I've got a roadmap for the offseason for you guys. And then we'll talk a little bit about Vikings, JJ McCarthy's press conference that got some bad pub maybe from Chase Daniel on his deal.
What a punk.
And then we're going to talk about Shedeur Sanders in the draft.
Of course. And you know the what came of
I've
that.
got a take.
And then,
I got a good stat for that.
Okay.
For the draft too.
And then we're also going to talk about the Twins and the PWHL's Minnesota Frost are having to win today and get a little bit of help from Ottawa to get into the playoffs as defending Walter Cup champions. There's probably 7 points separating the first place from the sixth place team. Seattle has been announced as an expansion team, so they're moving to 7, so good for them.
Wow.
In the P-Dub. And then the Lynx obviously are getting started as well with their upcoming season, and that should be a lot of fun.
Minnesota native Paige, she had her showcase, I believe it was just last night for, I want to say Dallas, but I'm not sure if that's accurate in the WNBA. I know she had one of her first games. She looked like
I think it's Dallas.
I believe it was Dallas. She was out there. I believe it was.
Do you think she's going to stay on the floor? That's the big question.
I think she can. I mean, it's noticeable too, and then we'll dive into it. It's interesting again seeing the level of play even from college to pros, and I think you could say that about just about any sport, whether it's baseball, whether it's especially football too. You know, we could go on and on about football. You know, whether it's Johnny Manziel or RG3, different players that I saw growing up, and it just not translating. Something just doesn't click mentally for them. And, you know, Paige isn't necessarily the biggest player out there either. She's a little bit on the shorter side. And so it'll be interesting to see even
strength as well.
Strength as well, seeing how if maybe she compares to like a Sabrina for she plays for Oregon product. I'm blanking on her last name.
I have nothing to blank on because you're ahead of me on that one.
Anyways, some of the greats that we've seen come into the league, even like a Caitlin Clark, you know, she isn't necessarily super big. She's a little bit on this, you know, on the slimmer side, not super big stature. So it's always interesting to see. And again, you can make parallels with
lots of intangibles. Yeah,
lots of intangibles. It's interesting to see even too with like Robert Dillingham too with the Wolves, a little bit shorter in stature. So how do they make up for?
We call that diminutive.
How do you make up for some of those?
Well, we'll see because
we'll
an 82 a longer schedule
those
for
the
these
stories.
Longer schedules for these players kind of start to wear them down. So we'll see. Playing the full collegiate schedule has been not always a guarantee with Paige.
Yep.
So we'll see how that translates into an even more physical, demanding WNBA as well. Doc, are we going with the timed segments here to keep the flow?
We don't have to exactly go too
I think we want
hardcore,
that.
but we
I think
can
we
go.
want that.
I'm going to just generally be giving you a minute, one of those minute warnings.
We want that. Will you run your timer?
Here we go.
Run it 12 minutes a segment.
Let's do it.
Not yet.
That's the last minute of this intro.
At the 12-minute mark of this segment, will you run that? Okay. So the Minnesota Timberwolves defeat here. Let's take a look here. Let's pull this up right now on the screen. And this was the Wolves post-game celly. It's unreal against the LA Lakers. Hopefully people can see that on their screen. Can you expand? There it is. Okay, here we go.
Where's the volume?
There we go. We're getting it dialed in here.
We need Kevin Hartland on this.
Is this where Bronny comes in?
Oh,
this is unbelievable.
Good. It's funny. It's pretty good.
And they're going to move on to the conference semifinal.
Look at this. Heartbreak Kid loading up the boot.
They are just
and the super kick. Oh, he came from down. Suck it! Oh, he got the big inside forearms, and he takes him over, but now it's the taker. He is hanging on. He's waiting, showing it. Up comes James. Oh! The choke slam! Got it! Oh, my word. He buries it. Oh, no. Oh, no. What do we have here? Stone Cold said so! A star! And the Wolves win 4-1! Woo!
You gotta loop it again, Doc. You can stop it.
So good.
It's fast, isn't it? Just let it go.
I've never seen
never
that.
watched that enough. My kid sent that to me.
Oh my goodness.
My son sent that to me. It's so funny.
Yeah.
That's pretty freaking classic.
Where is that?
That's pretty freaking awesome.
It's somebody
That's
posts that. That's great. So anyway,
That's outstanding. And thanks for the color commentary there. That was
That was great.
You're like, you never saw Mean Gene Okerlund, I take it.
well, I have called plenty of pro wrestling matches.
Oh
Did
my
you know
gosh.
that?
No, I did not know
That's on my resume.
Yeah.
It's like
years.
it reminds me of the two guys.
I don't want to go down a rabbit hole though.
It reminds me of the two guys. I think we did a clip a couple of weeks ago, Doc, when the two guys show up and they've done golf and soccer.
Yeah. Oh, that Jim Nance thing was
The Jim Nance, how they do all the
we
the
had that
lip
on there. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's too funny.
Well, so the thing that was interesting is, and it was sort of almost prophetic in what Dante DiVincenzo said
Yes.
In our comments that we took from him last week, when he said there's some games where Ant goes off for 43, or there's other games where we all have 10 to 15 points, and there's just different ways you can win a game. And I think what was really interesting is they abandoned the paint and they said, we're going to force you guys. Well, first of all, they did miss, what were they, 6 of 47 from three-point land?
Yeah, it was.
There's no chance you win 100 out of 100 games shooting for that. But unless you have Rudy, that's just absolutely dominant inside and cleaning up.
Heroic. If you would have read the stat lines on that, you would have assumed they lose that game.
Totally.
And you know what even reinforces what you said even more is in the 4 games, in the 5 games, they had 4 different leading scorers.
Yep.
So a different guy for 4 nights.
Depth.
Yeah, that's like
You would never have that on that Laker team.
when they did that Gobert trade years ago, and everyone was like, everyone got behind it, even though it felt like a Herschel Walker trade. They were like, everyone agreed that they would do it. The people that I listen to in sports, and like last night, he played like as advertised.
Yeah,
or not last night, but a couple nights ago.
And when you look at the matchups, though, what they had Jackson Hayes on their end, and then you have someone who could be either Gobert,
He got
Nas,
manhandled, by the way.
or McDaniels too. So I mean, you have all those three versus.
Randall. He outplayed LeBron.
And it's interesting,
I got a question on that too.
Going back to the beginning of the season, seeing how, and again, I was kind of on the fence. I was kind of in the middle. I won't lie. Seeing how well Cat was playing towards the beginning of the season, especially with the Knicks, and not necessarily seeing some of those numbers yet produced from DiVincenzo, from Randall, and a lot of people were kind of.
Do you know what's ironic?
They were jumping off the ship.
Now he's got Brunson, who won't even look at him. He won't even feed him the ball.
Yeah,
and they're just wasting him.
Yep,
it's ridiculous. That's going to catch up with them, I think, in this round, unless they get him involved. It's easy to look and compare.
Yep.
It's easy to say, how does this fit? But I mean, 2 totally different players, I think, in Randall and Cat.
Correct.
And I think what happened was you saw the team kind of come together and say, you know what, this is how we can get this involved. The trust factor really started to click, obviously, late January and into February. You could see the trust all the way around in everybody. And, I was watching that series, you guys, and I was thinking it felt a lot better when 30 was on the floor for the Wolves than Cat. I know it's like an outrageous statement.
That was his best game as a Wolf.
But I mean, even series. He's
tough.
You don't win without him.
He's insanely versatile.
Finchie said that too.
He's really versatile, and he's a bigger body. But man, is he? He's so professional about the way. Did you ever see him bitch about anything ever all year to any ref? Maybe a couple times.
Yeah,
but
but that's like anyone in.
He's not
in
bad at all.
No, he's nothing like Luka.
But he just has a motor and he goes. I think he makes his team better. And I think so after that series, you say, okay, were these Lakers better than the Suns last year or not? I say no. Mm-hmm. I say the Suns last year were a better team at this time than what the Lakers had. I mean, case in point, if you're literally playing 5 guys for the entire 24 minutes of the second half in game number 4, you don't trust a thing down that bench. And there's like, who do you go to?
Yep.
And so I felt like depth is an issue.
And the way the Wolves dominated on offensive boards, I mean, it didn't even matter that Cat was 0 for 15 for his 3-pointers because Rudy cleaned them all up.
I believe
you mean Ant?
Sorry,
0 for 11.
Yeah.
I believe it was in the last game, game 5, I think they had 54 boards, the Wolves did.
It was 54-32 or something like that.
Yeah.
Or something to that extent.
It was
a 20-plus swing that way.
Yep.
It looked to me as though, let's be honest, the national media fixates on individual players and not teams.
Yep.
Because it's really easy to sit back and be in, quote, expert, never really played the game, but say, oh, this guy's got great numbers, that guy's got great numbers, they've got 2 of them, they must be great. But they couldn't tell you the first thing of why. Now, the players that do this, 100%. Like the one guy that I trust when I hear his stuff is Windy.
Yeah.
Because he looks at it as the sum of the whole. Yeah. But you know what I'm talking about. It's interesting. So when you move forward, you go, okay, you've got 3-all between Golden State and Houston. Who do you prefer? Who do you like? And I don't think it really matters.
Isn't that weird? They're 3-3, and they basically let that one game go.
Yeah, I'm a firm.
You mean Houston?
Yeah,
I know.
I'm a firm believer.
They walked away from it.
Yeah.
I have a better gut feeling that the Wolves match up better against Houston simply because of the fact of inexperience. Not to say that they don't have some older players on Houston's lineup, but there's something about the veteran presence and it not being their first rodeo for Golden State to where I don't feel as confident going, even regardless of where the Warriors were at this season and where even momentum is. There's just something about the fact that they have Curry, that they have Draymond, that they have some of the other pieces. I know that there's been some question marks, obviously, with Kuminga. Hasn't really been sharp, hasn't really been on as much as he has been in the past. They have Butler. I see that being a whole different saga and drama and storyline with the Wolves in his chapter here. Mm-hmm. There's something about playing Jalen Green and the young Houston Rockets
that could be electric.
That I feel a lot more confident about. Again, which is crazy to say because again they're a 2 seed and so are higher seed. So one of those things where again seeing their inability to close games out as well. I feel a lot more confident that the Wolves can actually do that.
I just asked, do they have the synergy? The Wolves are in sync. They're playing as one. Do they have the bigs, the length, and the athleticism? That's the problem because Denver doesn't.
No.
I don't really think Golden State does down the middle, but I'm not qualified. I didn't play the game, so I don't know, but I'm just suggesting.
Oh, you're qualified.
No, I'm just, you know what I'm saying? Like you know, for
your bread and butter is hockey.
The naked eye test would say that. Houston, they're pretty athletic though.
They are.
And I think the one thing that the Wolves have going for them is when they defend and they transition quickly into a transition game and score off it quickly, I think they're problem. I think Houston will be good. That would be good for them. I mean, that'd be a battle. Yep. But the Wolves have every reason to believe they should be in the Western Conference Final for back-to-back
How good
years.
are they feeling coming out, just blowing these guys out 4-1? I mean,
I think they expected it.
Yeah,
I do
too.
I do.
I mean, game 1 was a signature game, that's for sure.
And I think you had brought this up to
ass
me.
Kicking.
Yeah.
Between the Lakers and the Wolves, there was a 1 game differential between. I think it was 2, maybe 1.
Yeah,
between
there's one game between like 1 or 2 games between 3 and 8.
Yeah. So I mean, it wasn't really that.
And probably like 3 or 4 between 2 and you know, I mean, so it was an incredibly tight Western Conference.
Yep.
You've got over on the other side, I think, a very interesting thing. Knicks are going to have a tough go of it, I think, with the Celts.
Yes.
But I mean, who knows? We'll see what happens in that series. But the Celtics, good luck to anybody there.
Credit to Finch too. Completely two different journeys from last year to this year on how they ended up here. Because last year they were just big time defense. They played it all season long. Great record. This year we didn't know who they were for the first half of the season. Really, they weren't coming out like they did the previous year. That's for sure.
Correct.
So
I think what we were saying
last minute of
was
play in the
very
period.
fair and true to that. And it was, who are you?
Yep.
And what are you? And why are you?
Yep.
So we've got a couple of great riveting Game 7s.
Let's not forget.
And
Game 7 tonight, we got Clippers and we got the Nuggets.
You don't think I won't be bellied up on that one?
Oh, I'll be. I'm sure you will be. I will be as well.
I'll be ready to go. All this does is give a team like the Wolves an opportunity to rest and everybody else. The Eastern Conference is starting their semifinals on Monday.
Yep.
And we wouldn't start at the very earliest, probably Tuesday, Wednesday.
Yep. Correct.
So that's a whole week off.
Which is good.
Heal up those Knicks, and I don't mean New York. Heal up the bumps and bruises.
Right on.
Yep.
All right, that's going to do it here for segment 1. When we come back, how was that, a minute 5?
Minute 5.
All right, sorry.
That was the.
We're not taking a break here, though. We're not taking a break, boys. We're just going to keep
That
rolling.
was the A block.
Okay,
A block. We're on to B.
do we want to cut into the wild talk?
Let's do it.
Or do we want to...
Let's just go right into
Let's
it.
let the Halliburton thing go.
Yeah, we got the good.
Enough of that.
Yeah, enough of that. We'll come. Let's slide into some wild talk. I know we got the Wolves on one side. We got the Wild on the other that dropped a doozy against the
Dropped
Vegas.
a deuce.
Yeah, they did take it.
No, dropped a
They
doozy.
took a dump all over the formerly known as XL Energy Centers. What's that thing going to be called now? St. Paul Civic Center?
I don't know. What do you think? Is there?
Who would want to put $25 million into that a year?
I don't know. I'm sure there's somebody that wants the naming rights.
The Cheerios Center.
But you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like,
The Cheerios
so
Center.
that was a 25-year deal, I think.
25-year deal for naming rights.
Well, that's what this one was, and it's up.
Wow.
25 years, no cups, not even a sniff.
Wow.
No.
The bitterness on this side of the table, the darkness. You want to see dark?
And here,
Yeah.
and
You want to see dark?
Okay. let's keep it
So,
light.
if we
We
want
already had
if
enough
we
of
want to be
that.
if we want to go Minnesotan about it, we can try to find a silver lining
Here you go.
and say that these were supposed to be 2 off years, so good for us. We made it to the round, but they just feel like the Twins more and more.
I just
every
don't
time
see
they go
anything
into
changing here.
they go into that first series and always lose.
I don't see anything changing. It becomes a trend when you lose 3 series in a row up 2-1, dropping 3 straight. You can have the tough situation. If you look at series, there's been a lot of series, both in the NHL and the NBA, where teams are winning 2-3 in a row.
Yep.
Type of thing. But this is more than a trend. This is a problem. I don't know if it's cultural or what the situation is. But there was a quote. Let me pull up this quote that we got from. Well, first of all, go into to me the nuts and bolts of it. Why do you lose a series like that to Vegas when you could get 1 bounce and a second bounce and win 4 games to 1?
Yeah.
Okay, but you don't, and then you come back out and at home, it just looked like it was surgical. It looked like Doc doing a root canal trying to get a goal. Like, it was so, like, you know what I mean? It was like, oh, you just couldn't do it, and it was.
And what happened? Because they came out of the gates just like like we were gonna go all the way. We're gonna go to the cup.
And like I said,
and then it's like Vegas figured it out and shut us down.
Well, I think the penalty kill has killed them.
Yeah.
For 5 years.
You can almost expect every other power play.
But how can a PK be so progressively bad for a half a decade? Like, literally. You've changed personnel. Like, how can it? What the? It's like.
How are we on the power play?
That kill in the power play is only lower 2/3 at best.
Yeah.
It's okay. So you look at it and you go, oh my God. It did feel different because they didn't fold. Whereas the previous 2 series, like against Dallas, I think it was Dallas and Winnipeg maybe, it felt like they folded. After they lost that home game in Minnesota, it was like they rolled up and took their blankies into the corner and sucked their thumbs on those subsequent road games. They didn't do that here. And then they came home and just said, let's get the I got to get the driver out and let's start ripping some seeds down the fairway.
Oh boy.
But
Someone wants to chime in on the Blues here.
oh, look at this.
Let's see if I can get them up here.
Oh, Peter
gosh.
starts
There we
laughing.
go. There we go.
All right.
Go.
Are you on mute? Say something,
Quirky?
Quirk.
Oh, bummer. We can't hear him.
Uh-oh.
We can't hear him.
Can't hear him.
Now.
Now you can.
There
now you
we
can.
go.
Rookie maneuver.
Quirky, I'm going to
There we
say
go.
it straight up. I'm going to say it straight up. I love you as a person, or as we say these days, we don't call them persons anymore. As a human,
as a human.
I love you as a dude, but I fucking hate the Blues.
Look at that was such a great
4
game.
years old, and that goes back 54 years, and now I got to hear you talking about the Blues in Game 7.
No, I feel for you guys.
Snuggie.
I think
Oh,
Peanut
it's
said it
Snuggie.
perfectly.
No, I'm just kidding.
It's so Minnesota, right? How things went down. So Minnesota. I feel for you guys. I really do.
He said he feels for us. It's like he doesn't even want to
Yeah,
associate
he
with
says
us
he-
anymore.
I actually think he believes.
He's like, you losers.
We got to see right here. I think he does feel for us, but he's got a big grin laughing at the same
Because
time.
he's
No, but you know.
yeah.
Look, here's the thing. I was just saying that our PK has been so bad for a half a decade, and I believed it forsaked him twice. The double minor to Booyam and the double minor to Rossi. The sad part is his stick got lifted, and he got nailed for that. But you got to kill him, and they couldn't.
Right.
You got to
Very true.
kill those penalties, and they just didn't.
Yeah,
Really bad
moments,
timing
big
on a few of
times.
those. Like you said, stick got lifted. It wasn't like a intentional, vicious Eklund type deal. It was just unfortunate timing.
I know what you do is you say, okay, that's fine, bummer, kill it, but you just don't. Not once, but twice. So
Yeah.
you don't deserve to win if you can't kill it. So why don't you preview Game 7 for us?
How you feeling over there?
Whew. I'm nervous, but at the same time, I didn't realize. This series has been a good series. Obviously, everyone has held their home field advantage, their home ice advantage. So it'll be interesting to see how Hellebuyck bounces back from that. 3 times getting pulled in one series is pretty wild occurrence.
That doesn't happen
but
too often.
he's a pro.
Never. Yeah, Scotty Arneal with a short leash, right? so he got pulled in all 3 of the games in St. Louis, right?
All 3 in St. Louis, but he's a pro. Those guys bounce back. But I don't know. I love having Binnington. He's a gamer, always has been. I feel like he's best in the playoffs, and I'm just excited. I'm excited for it. Nervous excitement. But I think if the Blues can get hot like they have been and can take down the top team in the league, then anything can happen.
It won't be the first time it's happened with these Jets. Sorry, can I jump in real quick?
Go ahead.
The thing that it goes unwritten and is an intangible, of which the Blues can use to their advantage, is the undeniable pressure on this team in that market. And, I'm not going to lie. I do think the pressure on Canadian teams that are upper echelon teams in the standings is astronomically higher than the teams in the States. I do. And I feel like the pressure is all over them of the, here we go again. They're so good, but that's an intangible.
Very true. Very true.
We have a delay.
Yeah, a little bit of delay. It's like waiting. Like, what is he about to say?
Yeah, I know.
Well,
no, but it's true, right? I mean, don't you think that would be the one thing in the back of my mind if I'm watching and I think of the Blues in that situation, is that one bad bounce to start against the Jets could create an avalanche of trouble.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but you're exactly right, though. I think the pressure in a Game 7 is so much on the home team, and they have copious amounts of pressure being a Canadian team as well. So, I don't know. I'm excited for it. We got nothing to lose, everything to win. They've got a lot to lose and even more to lose. But I didn't even realize that this series has been the most amount of penalty minutes in any series so far this playoffs.
Wow.
And it hasn't been like there's been cheap shots left and right. Like I would have expected it to have other series where there'd be more cheap shots that have been.
I haven't watched a minute of it.
Well,
last night
tend to see less penalties in the playoffs for sure. They play a cleaner game.
But I've watched a few minutes, but like I haven't seen enough of it to know and feel that.
Last night, didn't they score like 4 or 3 goals in like 5 minutes or something?
Yeah, they had 4 goals in a little under 5.5 minutes. I think it's the record for the most.
I mean, that's just nuts. Like talk about back and forth momentum where you're just throwing haymakers.
Any of those players, Quirk, were on any Stanley Cup runs here? Or is that too long ago for the Blues? Well,
Binnington was our goalie in 2019.
Okay,
so we got that going for us. Yeah,
so some experience.
I think what's happened though, and I would have to check the stats on it, but I think there've been a number of games that have been lopsided, and so I think the refs are just throwing out 10-minute misconducts like candy at the end of the game. So I wonder if that's really where
probably has to be a lot of it, because they've been creating a lot of emotion toward the end, and people staking their claim into the next game. So the next game is the next game. That's tomorrow, right? Sunday.
Yep. Tomorrow night.
What time?
Yep. 7 p.m. 7 p.m. Central.
Peanut, when do we have Dallas and Colorado? Are they tonight?
Yeah, Dallas.
Yep, that's tonight. Also 7 p.m.
Yep, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. EST.
That's been every bit the war I would have expected between those two teams. I wish Jason Robertson could be in that series. I think that's a game-changing player for sure. Yeah. And maybe it's over at this stage, but if they live to play another series, do the Avalanche, it gives Gabe Landeskog another series, which I didn't think he was ever going to play again, and I can't believe he's playing. So that's kind of a cool thing to see their old captain back out there. It's like, and he's still young. He's like 29. Yep. I mean,
really?
Yeah, he's missed like
he was
3
like
seasons.
35.
I know. He's missed like 3 seasons.
Wow.
And so that was his big thing is I'm still young and I want to play,
Yeah.
And so I just hope the surgically repaired can hold up because he apparently went through a lot of stuff. So
that's been an awesome comeback to see. I love that story.
That has. Look out for the Florida Panthers.
Mm-hmm.
Look out for them.
How about those Capitals?
Caps, will they be there in the end is the question. We'll see.
Yeah.
Toronto nearly blew it.
The Canes are pretty strong though too.
Canes are the real deal. They're the real deal. And they lost Natchez, and they lost. I mean, think about that. Natchez is gone, and so is Gensel, and they're still in the mix. Wow. Very, very good team. So the East is going to be interesting. I think the East is going to win, whether they're the better team or not, just because I think the West is such a gauntlet. I think whoever gets there is good.
You're just thinking they're too beat up by the time they get there?
Yeah, like Ryan Callahan said during the Wild's last game on the ESPN coverage, he said, these first-round series are so great. They're so close. They're so contested. And it's, because everybody's healthy. And then everybody, you don't know the level of what the injuries are that are occurring on these guys. They are throwing it out there, and they're playing very injured. Sometimes they can't go. Sometimes they can. And I think when you get deeper into each round, you start seeing attrition on really good teams. They can maybe get through, but finishing is – you need it all. You need health, luck, and skill in order to win a cup.
For sure.
Right, Quirky?
All three at once.
War of attrition. I hear you guys saw some wild out in the wild potentially this morning.
Yes. Yeah. The flower.
Oh, TMZ over here.
Yeah, TMZ.
He was just
live.
sitting there with his kids. Just didn't want to, didn't want to call too much attention.
He didn't want to have any mid-50s guys geeking out over him and taking pictures over their shoulders.
I think Jeff said hi. Jeff said hi, but then he just
did you
tell him the story?
I said congratulations.
But he didn't really say much back.
Yeah,
right?
He's like, leave me the fuck alone. Yeah,
I'm just a guy.
He gave me the sign.
Yeah, get the fuck away.
I know Brett says he's in there all the time. It's his favorite restaurant.
It won't be if you bug him like that.
I didn't bother him. I let him go.
It's so good.
That was good.
They're just humans too, right?
Yeah, for sure. Quirky, we're going to go on. We're going to rebuild. You want to hear this? What we're going to say when we rebuild the Wild's roster here? Or do you want to go?
Let's hear it.
Okay.
Let's hear it.
We'll dive into it real quick.
I'm going to give you a quote from the owner, Craig Leopold. This was back on back in October. Ready?
Let's go.
Go for it.
And I quote, Next July 1st is going to be like Christmas, owner Craig Leopold promised in October. I'm getting this from The Athletic, by the way. We're going to have money available. We're going to have the resources available to do what we need to get back to wild hockey like it's been gone. And we feel like we're going to be able to get one or two really good players to add to this team. Okay, so let's not overpromise and underdeliver maybe. I think that would be a good step. Don't you think, guys?
Correct.
So when we look at this team, we say, okay, what's next for them? What's holding them back? I don't think it's going to be Christmas this offseason, and I don't think it should be, and I will explain. What's holding them back right now is face-offs, special teams, power play, penalty kills, and goal scoring.
That's a lot.
The PK,
Anything else you want to add on to that list?
well, I'd even say a secondary goaltender, and we'll get there. Okay, I know it's pretty much everything, but the PK killed them, and then they got great scoring from the top two guys. Hartman was terrific. Rossi had his 2 goals and whatnot. So you've got Fleury gone, Merrill gone, Nyquist gone, Johansson gone, and Brazeau gone. Okay, 5 guys. That means there's 5 forward slots and 1 D-man slot that's officially open right now. Rossi is a restricted free agent. For some reason, Russo and company seem to feel like his feelings would be hurt if he was moved to the 4th line in the playoffs and bombs. I don't think he cares. I think he just wants to play consistently and be part of a team and win. I don't get that. Like,
He doesn't seem like an ego guy to me.
He's
at all.
not. Like they were productive.
Yeah.
Part of the reason they moved him to that 4th line is that Hartman needed to move up. And they also wanted to keep those other 2 guys going, and we saw how well Trenyon played. And that's the reason why they gave him the deal they did. Was it 3 years or 4 years, whatever it was, at $3 or $4 million, either way. And that was a good move. At least it looked like it in the playoffs. So my whole thing is, with 5 forward slots open, who do you have internally to fill those? Liam Ogren is 21 years old, 37 points in 41 games at the AHL Iowa. Had some time up here. He is going to have to make this team. He's a first-round pick, so slot him in. You have Danila Yurov, who's going to be here. All indications say he could be as dynamic as 97, but in different ways. I'm not saying he is 97. Then you've got Riley Height and Hunter Height, whatever. Riley is 20, Hunter is 21. Hunter was 5th on the Iowa Wild in points last year. And Height had a chance. Riley, the guy that went back to Prince George, had an opportunity to make this team out of camp. But he at, I think, 19 when the season started, was too young. So, okay, you look at that group. The Height-Haight pair, probably not going to make it. Ogren, you're going to slide him in. You're gonna extend Rossi. I don't think you're trading him. I think he proved that he carried this team when they needed him at the 2nd-line center and 1st-line center throughout the season, and he was 2nd on the club in points. I don't want to call it a breakout season because I think there's more in him to be better offensively, but he sure showed to me that he's an NHL player.
Yeah.
And I can't let him go. And
They had massive expectations for the guy since he arrived.
correct.
Yeah.
So now what do? Let's go to the free agent till, shall we? Should we go shopping?
Let's do it.
Yes,
Let's jump in
please.
real quick.
Yes, please.
What's that?
So let's jump in real quick.
Okay.
Let's make the most
So
of it.
if I'm putting these in order of who I would sign if I were the GM. Okay, number 1 out of my block is I'm trying to keep it young. Okay, the 29-year-old Sam Bennett from the Florida Panthers. He's had 20 goals 3 of his last 4 years. He can fight. He's good defensively. He's good in the face-off circle. He's a Grizzly player. He's at $3 million right now. I bet you can get him for 6 to 8. You have $17 million to play with this year. That's it. You don't have like 37 like everybody seems to magically think that. You don't have a lot. And, you got to extend Kaprizov, and we'll get into that later. My second pick, he's a little older, is Brock Nelson. 20 goals in 9 of his 12 seasons.
Hey, that's
Big on the faceoffs, big on the PK. Billy Guerin obviously loved him because he brought him in on Team USA for the 4 Nations. But could he love Denver more than Minnesota? Who knows? He might re-sign in Denver. We'll have to see. Here's a bit of a wild one, pun intended. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Ready?
Go for it.
We need center iceman. Now, Yurov's going to be one of them, right? But this guy is versatile and can also play wing. He kills penalties. He wins faceoffs. So you could have him play wing and then take the draws. He has, let me take a look at his numbers here.
You're talking Brock?
He has 609 points in 902 NHL games. He's reliable, and he fits with another player that I want to sign as well. Mikhail Granlund. Let's bring him back.
Oh.
At age 33.
There we go.
Okay.
Okay.
But what I would be inclined to do is bring in the very surging and impressive, I love this guy from day one, Matt Duchene, Quirky.
Oh.
Okay. He led Dallas in points with 82, 30 goals last year. He's been really consistent over his last 4 years, and he's I've always loved his game. I say LFG on that guy. He, again, is a little bit older, but he'd be a big-time point producer. I bet you he's an $8 million guy. Right now, he's on the lower end. He's like $3 million, but he's earned his money this year at 34. But I think you can get him for 3 years. Get Granlund, get him, or I'd get Bennett and him or something like that. But he and Granlund have been dynamic together. So that's an interesting take. Brock Besser, 28. He's had 140 goal game.
You see that?
He's had 25 and 75 games this year. He averages 22 genos a year. He's not really stacked on the goal scoring. I don't know. He's youngish, but I feel like there's been a lot of excuses made, and he's played around some really good players in Vancouver. Yeah. I'm not buying it. I let that one slide.
Sure.
Mitch Marner is 27. He's going to capture 15 to 18 million. You're gonna absolutely blow your load in 30 seconds, like Peanut with his first girlfriend.
Oh God! Oh jeez.
Just kidding. Sorry.
Okay, now I gotta cut that.
No, you don't. That's
son
perfect.
of a.
But he has 741 points in 657 games. 520 assists. He's a setup man. I think they need more goal scoring. Brad Marchand is 37, 1,100 games, 980 points.
I'm zoomed in on Peanut here.
But
the Peanut.
yeah, so that's my deal. You can get 3 of those players.
Peanut's sweating. Now, Waggs, I got a question for you. You been talking to Ben Hankinson? Because at least 2 of those players are under his agency.
The ones that I want?
Yeah, Besser and
I don't want Besser.
Oh.
Oh no! If you're, I was.
He was saying he didn't want him.
No.
He didn't want the Burnsville native.
Well, no,
Come
I
on,
mean,
man.
I just threw his numbers down. He averages 22 games. That means he's
I
hurt,
gotcha.
Yeah.
and you can't be hurt to play in this game.
Yes.
If you want to command dollars, here's the problem with Kaprizov. If they say, here's 17 mil for max 8 years, that's what they can do. Mm-hmm. The other teams can only do 7. Okay. So they can offer more money than anybody. So here's 17, 18 mil. Highest paid winger in hockey. One of the most highest paid players in the league. If he says no, and then he goes into the season and he gets hurt again, that 17 goes back to the 10, 11, 8, 9, 10 that he's at. If I were him, I would take the money and run.
Take the money and run.
Gotcha.
I like how you think.
Is the last minute of play in the period.
I would do Sam Bennett and Matt Duchene.
I like it.
Those are the 2 guys I'd get. And if I had a couple extra bucks, I don't like our blue line that much. I'd get another blue line or 2.
Okay. Let's see.
What do you think about the young rookie blue liner?
I mean,
Over his skis?
That's another
that's
topic for another day.
You know what? That's a really good. Yeah. Really good over his skis.
Mm-hmm.
He looked well over his head. It's interesting though, if you go by the numbers, they were 2-1 with him in the lineup, hardly playing, and they were 1-2 with him or whatever it was, or 1-3, whatever it was. 1-3.
He'll be good.
So,
he just the speed of the game just doesn't.
I just don't think the strength was there. I didn't see him coming out of off the wall very well impressively. I didn't see him winning battles in front. I saw a player that looks like, a lot of the AAA players that you see in these summer tournaments, they all look smooth and they go in the right spots and they do the things, but there wasn't a lot of pro feel to his game, and you need to hone that. You need to hone that in preseason. You need to hone that to start the regular season and maybe even the AHL. Yes, Cale Makar, yes, Norris Trophy, not today.
There we go.
Yep.
Final takes on hockey there.
That's a lot. That's a lot to jump right into the playoff race.
No doubt. No doubt. He jumps right into a playoff
It's
race.
asking a lot for a guy, isn't it? That's like saying, hey, you've never had steak, you don't have teeth. Good luck, eat this thing.
Got to be more like Snuggie.
Yeah.
Ooh, Snuggie.
Hey, snuck it in.
Hey,
There we go.
Have you been pleased with him?
Yeah, he's looked good actually. He like you said, somehow he has that feel. I think he's got that extra pro awareness, whatever it might be, that he's somehow honed. I mean, he comes from a family of I don't know exactly, right? I mean, maybe that has something to do with it, but he just seems like he's got this other like sixth sense of hockey.
Yeah, he's got like a spark.
When he was playing high school, he had that pro thing I was talking about, the ability to have the stick he needed, force the turnovers, you create all sorts of trouble, get pucks where you wouldn't think he could, and then put pucks in space where he knows players are going. He has great vision, but his release is as good as anybody in the league. It's going to be he can shoot it. He can get that puck off that stick in a hurry. So it'll be fun to watch him grow and evolve as a player. But he's a little bit older than Zeev. And he was able to get a little more weight put on the frame. And Zeev just seems like he's just got to get a little bit stronger and be a little bit less in awe and not have to enter. I didn't think it was fair to shove him into that position.
Yeah, he played a little nervous, a little tight.
I didn't think that was fair to him.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, at least to get the kids some regular season ice time.
Yeah. Again, like this D group to me and Mini, I don't know. Like Brodin's great, but he's not getting any younger. Spurgeon's great, but getting hurt and not any younger. I mean, the guy's been just an absolute icon in Minnesota forever. Can't say enough good things about him, but he's old.
Yeah.
You know, Brodin again is getting old. Bedrock Bogosian's getting old. You know, so
I like Midzi, but Midzi sure looked slow.
Ooh, he might be. I was starting to think.
Slow.
I was thinking he was hurt because he did
maybe
get hurt.
he was.
I don't think he was himself.
No, he looked slow. He looked slower than I ever remember.
I think it's funny because all my friends are ripping his game and they're going, "Oh!" I go, "You weren't saying a word about him in December,
right?
January,
No, he
February.
looked different.
Yeah,
I said because what you don't know is he's hurt because they never tell you they're hurt.
Yeah.
Right.
But remember, Middleton, they were saying, was having his best season.
Yeah.
HIPAA.
Alrighty.
All right.
That's
Quirky.
HIPAA or just the NHL.
I thought that was a damn well thought out segment.
That
Good
was
Seggy.
on to the next.
Good
Sam
Seggy.
Bennett and Matt Duchene are my priorities.
There we go. I'm for it. Let's do it.
What do you think of that, Quirky? Are those good priorities?
Hey, you seem like you have it figured out, so let's go with
All
it.
right, let's go.
Let's go with
I'm
it.
playing fantasy hockey here on the DigiFan podcast.
I love it.
All right, we're going to dip into now the Minnesota Vikings, JJ McCarthy.
Quirk, you want to stay? You want to stay
hang
on for this,
or what do you want to do?
or peace out?
I'll listen in. I don't want to delay the fans here, but I'll listen in.
I'll hang up and listen. That's what he's pulling. Okay.
Catch you later,
all right,
Quirky.
fellas.
Interesting.
See you, Quirk.
JJ McCarthy did his post game or preseason OTA type press conference, and it was really funny because I was watching it and I could not believe how polite and how forthright he was. Where Kevin Seifert would ask a question, he'd go, "Kevin, you know that's a really good question."
And I think
Let's take a look
was
at
this.
this.
Was this the right
Yes.
clip though?
So I don't care. Any one of these will work.
Okay.
Maybe this is the right clip.
Okay.
Go ahead and play it.
Hold on.
This isn't the fanboy though, is it?
No.
Okay. Just watch how he handles this.
One of the clips from like 4 days ago, I think it
I
was.
can't see where's the volume.
Lower
Bottom-
volume.
bottom
You
left
got
down
little
here,
bit to the left, little left. Boom, right there. Whoop, back,
Volume-
back.
volume- Volume is good.
Oh, no, home run. Okay, there
Volume
you go.
is good, Doc.
Far left.
Volume's good.
Yeah. Oh no, you just muted it. Back up.
You're
Technical
going to be under
delay.
tremendous pressure. I
Look
just
at it.
wonder how you handle that. All that pressure that's coming in now. And all that stuff.
Personally, I think
Does
the
he even
more
have a
pressure,
beard?
the better for me because, that's something I thrive off of. And, they always say the cliche pressure is a privilege, but that's something that you sign up for when you play in the National Football League, especially at the quarterback position. And, I feel like pressure, all it does is just bring out what's inside of you. And, I feel pretty good about what's inside of me. And, more pressure, the better, honestly.
Hit pause.
You're
I
going to
like
be under
that.
tremendous pressure. I just wonder how you handle that.
That was practically
Okay.
poetic. That was beautiful.
Okay, so now there's that webcast or that podcast with
That's just about the right
Chase
amount
Daniel.
of confidence. I like that.
Okay, so the kid was completely engaging and endearing to the media. He wasn't standoffish. He wasn't a prick. He wasn't an arrogant asshole. Instead, he was calling reporters by their first names and handled it with confidence and humility. And I said,
Class. Don't forget class.
I'd love that guy to lead my room.
Sure.
You know, and so where that Chase Daniel BS was coming up with, that he didn't seem nervous to me at all. Just because he's not a dick doesn't mean he's, you know, I mean, you don't have to be an asshole to not be nervous. How's that?
Gotcha.
And maybe it was the pace or the tone, the pitch of his voice. I mean, it's just like, come on, people. People are grasping for straws to try and have something that's engaging in the sports world.
He just doesn't want him to work out.
His assessment.
He's doubling down.
His assessment could have nothing to do with that clip.
He's doubling down.
Doubling down on the fact that he's maybe
jealous.
Connected to Rodgers, and he wants to
undermine him.
There we go.
Can I go ADD for a second here?
Yeah, go for it.
No, let me change the camera angle.
Yeah. Okay, look at my hat there. See that?
Yeah, we see all the we see the sweat stains.
What the fuck? I don't even sweat.
I thought that was the Chicago skyline.
I think that's how greasy my head is.
God.
Peanuts noticed it before.
It's disgusting.
I've been looking at it the whole podcast.
Shut up.
I thought it was part of the design.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought it was.
You pay extra for that.
Well, JC said the Chicago skyline. I thought it was downtown Minneapolis.
Have you really been looking at it?
Yes. Yes.
And what were you thinking?
I was like, holy cow!
Why doesn't he wash that?
Yeah.
No, like I've never sweat in this hat. That's how greasy my head is.
Oh my gosh,
how disgusting!
Well, everyone gets some fun facts for today on Waggs' greasy head. Jeez. We started off the segment, or before the segment here today,
the ADD portion of your presentation?
And now we're going into ADD mode. So what else do we got going?
Okay, anyway, so I thought that was great. I thought that was great. And then, you know, one of the things that was a question asked on our viewers sent in questions last week. You know, why did they take an O lineman when the best cornerback in the draft was available? Yep. And I heard someone in the Vikings upper brass, maybe it was Quez, saying something along the line, sometimes you got to be fit into what we're doing. And he could be technically a very sound cornerback, but he's not going to play into this.
Personnel-wise.
Yes.
Personality. Sorry.
Correct. Or personnel-wise and how it fits.
Sure.
But they really did need that offensive line short up because it wasn't. Mm-hmm. And if he can play the way they expect him to play, that's the right move. Mm-hmm. And it felt weird. It felt like, guys, with fewer draft picks at this Vikings draft room was saying we're going to be uber focused on the 4, and then they ended up with 5 players that we're going to get. And it felt like that's what it was. Again, you have no idea if these guys are going to be any good.
No. But if Rodgers is still on the phone, he likes what they did. They got a lineman and a receiver. Those are picks that he would have made himself.
Right on.
Yep. Yeah. It was interesting, again, seeing Jackson come from Ohio State, and I think he only allowed 2 sacks all of last season. And then I know the wide receiver that we got, I know some people, again, not necessarily across the board, but some people are thinking, could he potentially be a Stephon Diggs 2.0 as well? Because he came from Maryland as well.
Highly regarded.
Yeah.
And huge numbers, 97 receptions last year. I mean, you're only playing 12, 13 games.
I think he got a lot of yards after catch, too.
The yak was legit.
I'd have to look at the yak on
I remember they said that he was a tough guy to bring down.
Yep.
And he understood how to elude tackles. And he's not a teeny frame, but he's not huge.
Doc, maybe, I don't know, I might have to look up some of the stats here. For some reason, I'm thinking that he's maybe slightly taller than Diggs or similar in stature.
Are you still looking at my hat?
No, I'm not. I'm actually looking. I'm looking you in the eyes. I'm not looking at your hat.
Okay.
But
related to the draft, the other story that I think is absolutely fascinating is what took place with Shedeur Sanders.
Yes.
On a variety of different levels. It's not just that he dropped to the 5th. It's just, I look at his whole existence as a social media NIL guy that makes more money than anybody, and just it reminds me of the toxins that come from social media and how it's affected this guy as a talent. I love the Sanders story, Jackson State, Colorado. I love what he did to young men. I think Deion Sanders is a phenomenal person, but he maybe went a step too far with his son. Yep. And the fact that they ended up in talking with teams, there's only 4 teams that legitimately will take a quarterback that are ready for him to like come in and be the guy that he wants to be, because he only sees himself as a starter, right? So as soon as you're into the next round and you're looking up, should we take a second string quarterback to back up our current guy? They're not even going to think about him.
Well, the very thing that built up the brand tore it down.
Totally.
Correct.
And that's the bummer for them in that regard. What in the world is this?
One thing I'll say real quick to you before we get to this clip as well, like you said, what ultimately led to the hype or the building up, like you said, again, it ended up being a double-edged sword there, taking it down as well. And JC bring up a good point as well too. It's the reality of, okay, well, if you have a chance to obviously draft someone that can have a significant impact and potentially be a starter versus, again, just a reassurance, like an insurance policy, well, you're probably going to go with the best available. But it really gets me to question what actually happened in some of those interviews that he had with teams.
And we'll never know.
And you'll never know.
We'll never know.
You'll never really know at the end of the day. But there
are reports about what took place where he just said, I don't want to go there. I don't want to answer that question. So he essentially bombed some of the things. And I believe one of the teams that he may have bombed the interview with was Cleveland, where he now sits as 4th on their depth chart, which is just unbelievable.
Well, here's the thing I take from all of it is we don't know what those were. I don't like to get into that he did this, he did that when we haven't seen the transcripts or the interviews. I think that's a slippery slope, personally.
We don't even need
trying to make those claims.
But what's interesting is this is what I think is the bigger issue with football and all sports. There's a whole group of people out here that rate talent and do all this stuff. And I look at these guys, from whoever, Mel on down, and you go, well, really? What the fuck do you guys know? Like seriously, what goes on in those rooms with the pro scouts and the pro teams, their vision of what they need is totally different from what these guys. And it doesn't happen a lot. But I feel like in this particular example, I think the pundits bought into that hype and didn't really buy into the player like the teams did. And the teams are saying, you guys got him over here. We got him over here.
Yep.
But here's the part that I like about it the most. He took a lot of shit from Albrecht's kid, which was absolutely asinine. Their apology was well done, to their credit. It's shameful and horrible that they had to even apologize because he did that. But what I think is kind of cool about this now is he goes from, with that happening with the prank call and being a 5th round pick, he's now an underdog.
Yep.
And now he's coming in with something to prove. And now we'll find out if he's going to say, you know what, I'm going to take this, I'm going to have it, and I'm going to go.
Yep.
And damn it, no one's going to say no to me, and I'm going to compete for this, and no one's going to help me but me. He seems to have the ability to do it, so I'm sitting here on the side watching that, quietly rooting, going, this would be really cool to watch if he can overcome all that. It would be super cool.
Yeah, and the only path from here for him is going to be world-class citizen moving forward. If someone says you're 4th on the depth chart, you can't dispute that. You can't say I'm a star of this team or I'm out. Because they were throwing the Eli Manning thing around a little bit, going, he's the only one that's ever really done that, and they were sort of suggesting that they might do it. In fact, that's what this clip is about to show.
Yeah, I just wanted to play this and just ask, like, if you're not picked in the first round, you're not a starter, right? And who wants to deal kind of with this type of drama for the backup quarterback? I mean, I don't know.
Nobody.
It seems.
You have said that if the right team does not pick him, that you will intervene.
That's my son. It's not like who I would like for him to play for. It's a couple teams that I won't allow him to play for. It's almost like you got a child that's going into an occupation that you already dominated in. Like, come on. And you don't think I'm not going to sit there like a navigational system and tell him, take a right there, take a left right there, take a, not that, not that. Oh, no. Like, That's who I'm called to dress my son. I'm not going to let my son get down in no foolishness.
But you and I both know these coaches, these owners, right? You've been in the rooms.
Right.
The owners, billionaire owners,
Yes.
will often say, well, this is a young man who should be making his own decisions. He's got this helicopter dad.
Not my son.
You have said that if the right team...
Yeah, and that's the problem.
Yeah. That tape's been played in those back rooms.
Yeah, I mean, that's a problem.
Yep.
Just needed to be quiet. He could have come in and
shut up.
Too far.
Yeah.
Now, I heard his son Shiloh the day after the draft actually fired his father and hired Drew Rosenhaus.
Yeah, now he's with Dallas, isn't he?
Yeah. So I mean, it goes to show you, like, there's very little humility. I love Dion, but when you say you're going to be agent as well as the Colorado football coach and et cetera and so on, you don't know what you're doing. Drew Rosenhaus does, though.
Here, two things that is so fascinating to me. It's that's my son. Well, then why wouldn't the guy who's the investment banker or the doctor or the successful marketing executive to my left here, why wouldn't they say that about their kids trying to get a job? Well, maybe they do. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
How many times do we see parents intervene to get their kids positions in companies that, we talk about nepotiz all the time. So who's to say that just because this is a pro sport that should be different? So to me, all he's doing is what a lot of parents in today's culture do. The only difference is it's a pro sport. Yeah, and he went out there, but it's a pro sport and everybody's looking at it.
And they're omnipresent, which is part of the problem.
And the other part about it is, JC, and I think you would appreciate this comment or expand on it.
Yep.
Primetime was a brand of its own that he created in the 80s, utilizing television and MTV and the various things. And there was nothing like it done before.
Right.
And we were all like to me, I didn't like it. I thought it was too showy with the juicier, the whole thing. But then he goes to the New York Yankees where you have to calm it down a little bit. Remember? And so he's doing both. The mere fact that he was doing both to me was like, only he and Bo were like in our era where I'm like, oh, okay, this is legit. But he calmed all of that down into the 90s.
Don't forget Michael Jordan. No, you're right. Absolutely right.
Double-A baseball.
It's prime time is amazing. I wish he wouldn't do it to his kid because this kid is on a much longer journey now. And if I had to guess, I'd say he won't be with the Cleveland Browns when the season starts.
Really?
I think he will be.
I don't think he will. The interesting words by the GM when they brought him in is they didn't call it a draft pick because it's just simply an acquisition.
Interesting. He did say he had some choice words when they did the presser with.
They took him for a reason. They moved up.
Stefanski.
They moved up.
Okay. Well, it's their second quarterback they drafted.
Doesn't matter. Yeah. They moved up.
We'll see what happens. Do you think he's on
bare minimum practice squad?
So you don't do you think that he'll make
That's quite a change in lifestyle
starting roster for week 1? Do you think he'll be on
practice?
The depth? Okay, so you think practice squad?
Yeah, that's quite a lifestyle change.
Yeah, that is.
Well, I mean, that's part of the humility and dealing with it that I was talking about, where I'm rooting for him because he does say a lot of the right things with how he goes. He handled that total bullshit prank phone call.
Yeah.
That was absolutely insane and uncalled for. And apparently this happens. Apparently there were more that happened, and I wonder where those came from. I'm not saying they did, but
getting
it seems a little bit interesting, But I do think as though he handled that with grace and dignity. Proud of him.
Mm-hmm.
The
it didn't crush him.
All-breaking kid called father's son Sanders, apologized. They handled it like true men, and I have to tip my cap to that, and that should be the last that's ever spoken of it.
Mm-hmm.
The fines were what I was thinking. Remember we were talking about that, and I said someone's getting fined. Well, it ended up being total $350,000, $250 to the Atlanta Falcons for not securing the data, and $100,000 to coach.
Wow.
And you kind of got a feeling in the apology that coach was kind of saying, we're taking care of it. Like something's going on with the kid, you know, where he's how they handled that, father, son, Ulbrich. I was father, especially super impressed because, you know, I mean, he could have gone into the old, he did a good job handling it. He had handled it just head on and said, whoa, I got to be better than that with my stuff. Kid is like, it's insane. That's a whole different topic. We'll deal with that accordingly. And you felt like he was gonna. So I thought that was good.
It was a well done prank too. Not that I think it should have happened, but I mean,
it was pretty good.
The way that he did speak to him, and then he said, "You're gonna have to wait a little longer," and they cut it right there.
Brutal.
Brutal.
Yeah,
It was brutal, especially considering the bigger picture of what was going on with him. But I mean, wow, it'll be interesting.
Last minute of play in the period.
Wow. How many periods do we have left?
This is
technically none, but
none.
I got to run.
Yeah,
we can go last takes.
Last takes here. We're a little over an hour.
Go ahead.
Waggs, go for it. JC, you got anything?
I think the Wolves are going to feel really good and rested going into this next series, and I've very high expectations for what they're doing. I love the fact that when Plan A isn't connecting, there's a Plan B, and when Plan B doesn't work, they also have Plan C. It looks like a team that could make a run.
I agree.
The question is, we have gotten to the level of Western Conference Finals. Do they get there, and do they get past it?
Yeah,
that's the $1 million question.
Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah was on KFAN. He was at the Wolves game, and Paul Allen says, "So what'd you think of the Wolves and Ant?" And he goes, Ant has something that few people have, and he goes, he's got competitive fury, which I love the term, competitive fury.
Can't say I've heard that used a lot before, if at all.
Huh.
I'm gonna have to chew on that one a little bit this weekend. I like that.
It's a good way of saying it. Part of that competitive fury is he cannot go 0 for 11 from 3-point land and expect to win any game or series with it. That can't happen again. I mean, that just goes to show how outmatched I think the Lakers really were.
Mm-hmm.
That can't happen though, and you have. I think it's crazy when guys keep lobbing up shots and they're not making. At what point is it 0 for 5, 6, 7? Do you stop? I mean, at some point you don't have it. Which led me to believe is like when a guy's missing that many shots, are you hurt?
Yeah.
Well, like what's going on there?
But Rudy gobbled them up. They were like assists.
Yeah.
Oh, he just.
How much shit is JJ Riddick getting? Oh.
I don't think he is. I think
really everything I've seen, he's gotten a lot of.
I don't think it's a ton.
He doesn't have a lot to work with.
True. Which I think he's handled it well.
I think the manager. Well, here's the thing that's interesting is after that trade, they were very good. The Lakers were outstanding, and it looked like, look out. But they still didn't have that presence in the paint. And playoffs are a different bird. They're a different bird.
They didn't have the defense.
And it was very obvious. So they've got a lot of work to do. They got to figure out what to do with Luka. He's young. LeBron isn't sure what he's going to do. He's kind of said it. He's got to look into the mirror and see what they're going to be adding and where he's going to go. He's up in the air.
Yes.
I think the Lakers didn't really see the addition of Luka to be like the Luka LeBron show. I think they want to sort of move on from the LeBron era.
Oh, he's for sure the future era.
Yeah.
For sure.
But I'm just saying, I don't think they were looking at, Shaq and Kobe. I think they would like LeBron's money to get back on the table for the salary cap and move on.
But I always ask, why? Why did the Dallas Mavericks move on from 26-year-old Luka Doncic? Why did they do that? Did they do that because they're going to be stuck with a supermax? And they're going to look at him at 32, 33, 34 years old and say, you're completely banged up. You can't move.
Yep.
Screwed. So I think they felt like they don't see that in the future. And that's 5-6 years down the road, but they were not going to invest that money because they didn't believe in that investment.
Mm-hmm.
Which is wild to think, again, given where he's at in his career and the overall trajectory of where he can go. The interesting thing, though, the one stat that I had seen that I thought was relevant, and I forget what the top line stat was, but there were 9 blow-bys when Luka was guarding in that last game, and I believe that was the most recorded in, I don't know if it was, again, I'd have to go back and fact check myself, but NBA playoff history, I believe it was.
Wow.
The most blow-bys. He had 9 against him. So talk about, defense. I know, again, there were times where people were talking about, his overall athleticism or ability to defend or his conditioning. That was, again, something that was swirling in the mix of all these different ideas.
What does he love offensively? Think about it.
I mean, he loves.
What does he love? He didn't have it here.
He loves to. I mean, I thought he loves to act.
He loves the lob. He loves the lobs, and he had 2 great targets that buried the Wolves off the lobs that opened up his threes, which was like taking candy from a baby. They need to get themselves a legit offensive threat, big man, to get the job done that he can start launching lobs to spread the floor.
And there was that deal that had fallen through
with the checkup from Charlotte.
Yep, with Charlotte, and so that I believe was a big piece that, again, I mean that would have shaken things up a lot, and I think that could have been a missing piece potentially relative to what Jackson
we
Hayes
might
was.
still be playing her out here.
We might. That could be.
That's what they need.
Yep.
I want to keep talking real quick. One more thing. Right where the Twins sucked me in at 12-16, they go ahead and lose 4 straight.
I know.
Oh.
Yep.
God, they were almost going to make 500.
I know they were in the hunt. The best record of the American League goes to your Detroit Tigers right now. So I'm going to make the call right now. If the Twins are to contend in any way, shape, or form for a postseason berth, it's for the ever elusive one of 3 wild card slots.
Yep.
Of which they're 4.5 out right now.
Good.
Doable.
I like your optimism.
Doable. Wild card. Let's go for it.
It is 162 games. We'll see what shakes down. I'm not quite there in the negativity yet, but I'm getting there.
What? It's not as bad as Colorado, so I feel a little bit better.
Well, here's the thing. Colorado's ripped off 2 in a row. Now they're starting to catch the Twins. The Twins went from being like 20th in the power rankings and, a game or 2 away from being in the top 10 in wins to like the bottom 3 or 4 teams now because it's just loss.
Yep.
They just love losing streaks over there.
We do.
Carew way.
For whatever reason.
All right, Doc, you can run it. There we go.
Well, thanks for another DigiFan Podcast here. Thanks for joining us for Waggs, JC, Peanut, and Quirky visiting. This is the Meta Sports League DigiFan Podcast. We're here every Friday or Saturday at noon.
Thank you guys. Have a great weekend.
Cheers.